about Google and
other.
yeah.
About the difference in search speed and search.
Yeah, how they present the results and what kind of algorithms are behind it. What are the other search engines that are there?
There's difference in speed for amount of websites from.
Yeah. And the presentation, of course, the layout would be different. Do you remember the first time in your life you came across Google? I think you guys pretty much grew up with Google, but I remember the first day I heard about Google, I thought, oh, it's very blank. That's nothing, because I was quite used to Hotmail search those days. Hotmail is the Microsoft version of email thing. So Hotmail, Yahoo, so mostly Hotmail. And then there was something called Alpha Vista, GeoCities. There were so many things around those days. And then suddenly the Google came. Nobody thought it's gonna like be popular because it's very blank, but I think they had a quite nice idea. They were focusing more on the actual facts rather than presenting large pictures or having complex tables or very busy pages. Because earlier all the search engines were trying to cram in so many stuff into one page, knowing that people are quite interested in finding things in the very first page. So Google came about, and then they became quite popular. So the popularity was not partly due to they having a blank presentation screen, very neat and clean presentation screen. It's mostly to do with the algorithm. What do you mean by algorithm?
The set of rules.
Yep.
It's a set of rules which follow.
Set of rules is how do you define a protocol? Protocol is a set of rules. Algorithm, it's partly correct. Algorithm gives you a way of working out the relationship between different things and coming up with an answer. So if I ask you to come up with an algorithm to check the average height and weight of all of you guys, you can easily say count the number of people, add all their heights and weights, and divide the number by n. So that could be a very simple algorithm. So algorithm, or in computer world we closely relate that to idea of logic. And if you have done electronics in O-levels, you might have come across logic gates. So logic, we use a logic to come up with a certain, or define a certain path to solve a problem. So we apply that logic. Once it's finalized and confirmed to be working, we can keep applying that and come up with the good results again and again and again. Over the time, people might figure out, okay, this logic could be improved so that the results are more complete, neater, or the results are coming quite faster. So you can keep improving on the logic as well. So behind the Google, they came up with some sort of an algorithm that pretty much figures out when you give a keyword, because all you supply is the text, the word or couple of words or a sentence to the key, the little text box in the middle. So there is this keyword and billions of pages on the internet. Let's say this is the internet. So billions of pages, and you type a single keyword there. So it's a huge task to come up with a way of filtering through or scanning through all the stuff we have on the published, in terms of published web pages, and come up with a sensible list of relevant pages. Yeah. There used to be a stage, I mean, if you think about working of a library, if you go and ask from the librarian, where can I find a book about the origin of money? And the librarian, from his or her experience, will probably say, okay, if you go to that section, there are these books, so and so. Now, it's something like that is quite impossible to do for these kind of billions of web pages. So we had to automate. So we need to come up with some sort of a computer software that can have all this data in a database. Now, have all this data, I mean, this could be going into zettabytes of data, not zettabytes of data. You can't make another copy of the entire internet and keep it in a web server and scan through it. You need to come up with some sort of way of summarizing this. So having gone through the billions of web pages, there could be some sort of a set of summarization, as in them as some sort of a cards. So summary of key things that are on the internet. And then we need to come up with the algorithm that can get the keyword in, go through the summary and produce you a list of pages. So the main business of Google like search engine is, first of all, coming up with this kind of a mini database that summarizes the stuff that are out there, and then come up with another algorithm that can actually go through the summary and figure out what is the best set of data we can present to this person who is looking for some data information. So as you can imagine, yep.
How can Google summarize the pages? How does the summarizing works?
So that is again, of course, done by a group of people sitting on a computer in front of computers. No, I was joking. It can't be done like that. You need to again come up with another software. Now there used to be a stage when the arrival of the internet. I mean, people didn't first thought about search engines. So when DARPA introduced the internet, the idea of having a connected set of networks, they didn't. I mean, they wanted to have some sort of a search field. So they did a little bit of a mini search algorithm and based on a small database. Then the web became so popular, covering the whole world, and then people thought, okay, it's a quite another set of like a business or an industry or another science of summarizing the web. So they started writing algorithms. Initially, somebody might have probably tried to do this manually to see what is the best way of categorizing things. But within a second, they might probably realize it's quite difficult to do. So they came up with another software which will have this kind of an algorithm that can summarize this into some sort of a set of data files that has some keywords ranked or sorted or resortable in a particular way. So that gives us two business opportunities. If we are Google, we can come up with a good algorithm that can summarize it efficiently, and another algorithm that can work on the summarized data. So that is their business, and the way they do this is quite a secret, but we can figure out certain things based on, I mean, what you can do is, if you're having a website, you can tweak things and see what happens to the result. And through that, people who are doing this as a business, so you might have heard the term SEO. Yep, what does that stand for? Yep.
Search engine optimization.
Yeah, search engine optimization. In other words, making your web page look nice and good and attractive to the search engines. So the SEO is the idea of making sure our web pages look nicer and impactful and productive, so that the Google like search engines will be quite interested in getting a summary there and getting it listed on their output. So they would have like come up with different algorithms to do this summarization and do this ranking. And what big companies who are working on search engine optimization did was they tried figuring out, okay, let's change the keywords, let's change the structure of the site, let's change the order of the web pages and see how it happens, what happens to the output. So through that, companies who are doing search engine optimization figure out certain techniques. Okay, Google like these things, Google don't like these things. Some things Google like, for example, Google could be liking in 2015 might be banned in 2017. It's like quite a dynamic field where if Google figure out, okay, they know the trick, we are going to change the algorithm. Like for example, there used to be a stage, I think again you don't have probably seen this, there used to be a stage where web pages were having, like for example, let's say there is a web page that tries to do handbags. So there used to be a stage where we had a web page with a handbag picture and maybe handbag here by me. And there used to be a stage where developers used to write handbag, hundreds of times on the web page. What they did was make it less annoying for the users. They changed the font color to look like the to have the same color as the background. So a human cannot see that there are millions of handbags, they see only the one handbag. And at that time, the algorithms were quite liking this idea, oh boss, this is all about handbag. Okay? So they quickly figure out, okay, people know about this, they are tricking us now, so they quickly change the algorithm. This happened like nearly a decade ago. So that is a whole science of keeping things, the algorithm fine-tuned, and because there are other companies like Microsoft. What is the search engine of Microsoft? Bing. And then you might have used Yahoo. What is the search engine you get in Apple devices mostly?
Safari.
The Safari now also allows you to install, have plugins, isn't it? You can have Chrome in an Apple device now, which used to be a case earlier. Anyway, so these people now like trying to compete in terms of having the best algorithm so that people will find it very attractive in terms of searching things and the way results are presented. Now when Google, Microsoft replaced the traditional Microsoft search engine with Bing, they did a lot of research and they did a hugely impactful publication, and they actually came up with a very sophisticated algorithm. And those days we thought it's actually going to compete very, it's going to be very competitive in terms of dealing with the search results presentation with Google. But Google managed to maintain their position because of, again, retuning and figuring out what is the Microsoft's algorithm, what is the rationale behind it. And the other thing Google did was they came up with this whole idea of having AdWords. And then together with that, monitoring your use of internet, the patterns of your shopping behaviors and what kind of things you are interested in using keywords or cookies. And then asking you to allow them to monitor your cookies and based on them present suitable advertisements based on the AdWords supplied by the suppliers. So this created a whole new market surrounding Google, and it's quite difficult to break now because large number of people who are doing e-commerce or who wants to publish their stuff on the internet are signed into these Google AdWords mechanisms or paid advertisements. And Google is has quite sophisticated ways of storing cookies in your computers. There are advantages to you as well because you get more targeted advertisements rather than seeing about funeral plans and rechargeable batteries, everything together. Now you might probably see the things that are related to the searches we have done previously. So you feel good as well. Yep.
So you said that they will change the algorithms as soon as they find something is beating them. So does it not take too long to make set of rules or set of instructions to do?
It takes time. Good question. It takes time. What Google have is they are very rich. They have a lot of money to spend on so many things, and they have huge range of research teams focusing on various aspects. And whenever they figure out, okay, Microsoft is like, for example, let's say Microsoft is now working on the weight of keywords, and they will quickly scan through all the different research departments and figure out which team has been working on the weight of the keyword, and quickly figure out, okay, can you quickly give us an algorithm? So they can quickly adapt the algorithm to be very competitive against all the new arrivals. That's the power of having a lot of money. Having such a huge amount of research capacity, they can quickly come up with new algorithms. But again, it's a very careful business because if they come up with the algorithm in a hurry, and if it ended up like doing some sort of a negative impact, it's quite difficult to recover. So, when you go to the third year, you'll figure out how businesses have to be quite sensitive about these kind of changes or change engineering. And there are so many theories behind it, how to manage changes, how to introduce these kind of innovations. But anyway, in simplest term, because they have huge capacity, huge research capacity, they can come up with quite sophisticated algorithms. And all the cookies they keep on pumping them with so much useful information, feedback, which is a huge resource for them. If you want to start a new search engine, you can probably come up with an algorithm, you can probably come up with a nice interface, but you'll struggle to come up with the amount of feedback, even get 0.0001% of feedback the Google is getting from all the user base, their user base. Anyway, so we are going to explore this more later on. Going back to JC's weekly task given to you. So he gave me some feedback. There are some spaces you can see. How many of you are in the class? Is it over 200? We have over 200. So he was saying he has received 119 submissions so far. So 119 of you have submitted, and I think all of them have passed the task, which is good. That means you have passed your first task already. And you know how this works, isn't it? So you get the task at the end of the lecture. Why did you tell me there's nothing on the screen?
No, just no.
Oh, really? Okay. Phew. Anyway, so I'm going to go through the stuff in lab at some point. Okay. What happened to that one? Okay, so sorry. He was saying most passed with a smiley face, so I'm sure. And the people who have not passed probably might have received some sort of feedback saying what needs to be improved. So the mistake the previous cohort did was they kept doing the coursework until they passed the module. As soon as they managed to passing the 40% margin, which is the margin we categorize the D grade, they stopped doing coursework. And the outcome is they have very bad results because it will be just a D. Okay. So what we done this week, this time around, is we actually reduced the weight you get for the first teaching block task. So you get 3% from these exercises. So you have 3% times 11 or 10, and then in the second teaching block you are getting 4% for each task. Because the last year people mostly focused on the first teaching block task and then start ignoring the second teaching block task. To be honest, second teaching block tasks are as interesting as the first teaching block ones, and they are more related to the things you're going to learn in the second year. So keep doing all the good stuff and aim for an A grade. I mentioned this earlier as well, previous occasion. You can go to the second year provided you have passed all the modules, but if you think about doing a placement, or if you think about supplying your CV to your future employers, it's always good to have A's, B's in your CV or results transcript. So, and then when it comes to second year, it's quite difficult to adjust your routine. People think, okay, I'm going to work hard in the second year, I'm just going to pass the first year. It never works like that. So get into a good habit of time management and way of taking down notes and way of revising, and you'll be quite enjoying the second year. And the third year, which is naturally very stressful, you'll find it quite easy to manage, because some people do try to learn how to learn in the second year, and when it comes to third year, you don't get any chance to adjust your time management or anything. You just have to keep doing. There are so many deadlines, you have to work on the project, so it's going to be quite stressful. I have seen so many cases of people I'll share the stories later. People get so stressed up and they end up doing so many weird things. So do well in your first year. So JC is happy. 70 have not completed. So try to complete as soon as possible, because you are getting another task today, and you have to spend time on that. So if you ended up having a staggered set of tasks, it's going to be quite difficult to manage. You might be able to just get away submitting something, but you won't be having enough time to enjoy what you are doing. So within 3 weeks you have to submit it. If you delay that, you can't, you'll be penalized, so you'll be getting a 0 mark. So some feedback. I found this actually very interesting and challenging, but it really got me thinking. YouTube video, so it's good that that's one of the reasons why we are video recording. You can watch later, and people from other universities have copied in a nice way our lectures, and people start sharing our videos, so it's quite good. So getting viral, already 104 views. So I briefly mentioned about the working behind Google. So spidering is what we mentioned in the left-hand side in the screen, where we come up with a little software that can crawl through all the web pages that are published in various web servers connected to the internet, and they will quickly go through the text that is visible for humans and try to come up with some sort of a summarization. And that summarization will be stored in the Google's or search engine's database, which will be used for the ranking later on. So developing a spider that is quite intelligent to figure out what this page is about is a hugely scientific, very enjoyable, and very sophisticated area. And then the index. So index is like you learn a lot about indexing when you're doing databases in the second and third year. So if you can visualize the Argos catalog, let's say you want to look for a AAA rechargeable batteries. So you can either go to the content page and figure out where the electronic stuff are, then jump to the section and look for the battery until you see the picture of a battery. Or you can flip through pages one by one until you see a picture of batteries. Or a much smarter way is going to the index section. Where do we have the index section? Is it in the front or the back or the intermediate?
Back.
In the back. So you can go to the back, go to the index section, and try to figure out where A, B, B for batteries, and then under the batteries there could be rechargeable batteries maybe. And it will straight away give you the page number, which allows you to quickly jump to the page. So in databases we have indexing techniques. It's again another science. Like there are clustering index, ISAM index, so many different indexing techniques. It's like a way of organizing stuff so that you can quickly find things in a very humongous database. So indexing is pretty much coming up with a smarter way of organizing the stuff discovered by the spiders. And then matching, you can put there, and then matching those findings to the queries presented by the database, and then ranking them based on a certain criteria. So those are the key steps that happens behind the scene. And then on top of that, Google come up with, as a revenue source, come up with this kind of advertising mechanism. Now I remember when I first started using Google, we didn't have the stuff in the right-hand side. We didn't have any sponsored content. It's only purely the content related to the search. So what they did was they introduced the first version of Google, which only had the purely the normal unpaid content, and people started getting quite addicted to Google. Then they introduced the paid content in the right-hand side. Just like in Facebook, in the earlier Facebook, you didn't have any advertisements, you might remember that. And then they started putting advertisements in a quite nice way. In a way that it's not like disrupting the viewers. So Google make a lot of money, it's a huge business, and the task we have to do for this week is related to that. Going further, why are so many results omitted? Because let's say you search for handbags and there are 2 billion web pages talking about handbags, so presenting handbags. Yep.
Can someone pay for page ranking? Or it is
No, page ranking, the one you get in the middle section. Let's search for something. Let's search for Kingston. Oh, so for example, if you think about the stuff we have here, it's unpaid. It's just totally an outcome of the natural page ranking and search process. But this This is not from Kingston University, it's from who? Wish.co.uk. So that's a subscriber-based review site. And that is an ad, so that is a page link. So you can't ever manipulate this area by paying money to Google. Only thing you can do is manipulating your content so that the content becomes more visible to the Google spiders. Okay? So it's because it's core to their business. I mean, if you realize, okay, Google page ranking has everything is paid, then people in a way like lose the trust and feel like, okay, people who are paying a lot of money might be appearing on the top. So as a core business principle, they are always going to be having a section where there is an unpaid section and a paid section. Let's say handbags. Right.
Is it made on clicks or what? The page rank, is it made on number of clicks on page?
No, we'll come to that. It's totally based on the content. So there are ads on the bottom, some ads over here, and always they say it's sponsored, or you have this little tiny AD green color thing to say it's a paid one. And if you go for Amazon, and if you search for, let's say PIR, so this is something paid. So the people who bought a garden light, a particular brand that is more popular or having more reviews, they will naturally come to the top. But you can even go ahead of them by paying some money to sponsor the sponsored scheme in Amazon. And then if you go further down, they will be again. Now all these are based on the natural popularity. And then further down, there are again another paid section. And then that is paid. So there could be so many other things appearing that are powered by money. But majority would be powered by the popularity. Like this section is probably also sponsored. So how to increase the page rank? Sorry, the question was why so many results? I mean, for example, if you search for handbags or PIR garden lights, there could be billions of outcomes. Why do they have to filter out and present, like let's say out of billion, they are going to present only 100,000. Why do you have to do that? Why can't they just do 2 billion pages? Yep.
The space in their service can store some of the results.
Yeah.
Nobody will look to 1 million pages.
And-
The people usually only look on the first page
Yep.
and rarely on the second page of the results.
That's true. I mean, if you think about 100 people searching for 100 people searching for a PIR garden like in Google, and only 25 of them will go beyond the first page. So it's quite important to have most of the impactful or productive stuff in the first page. And the other thing is, Google can actually serve the search results faster if you're not bothering about all the 2 billion outcomes. What they thought was if there are, for example, there could be 2 billion pages and they're going to say we are not going to focus on entire 2 billion, we are going to focus on only the first 100,000. What that means is they can quickly work on those 100,000 and present the results. So Google is a business, they need to show the results faster so that they are performing better than Microsoft, for example. So what they would naturally do is limit the number of things they are going to show anyway. And on top of that 100,000 selected items, they might then come up with much more sophisticated algorithms to rank them based on the popularity. Yeah? Yeah, so limiting the amount of data allows them to present them faster. So if you search for so what is this number? Million, billion, 2.9 billion in 0.75 seconds. And I don't think there will be anybody who will bother to go to the 2 billion record, for example. So a quick search on the database would have given Google there are this many number of records, but I don't think they have bothered ranking stuff into more than 10 pages. So when you click on the next button, it will again quickly run the query and figure out what are the next set of pages, because the key for their business is presenting the data as fast as possible. Yeah, I don't think it has bothered searching for anything that could go into the 11th page yet. So if you keep searching, there could be a point it will trigger another query that looks for the 11th page content. So at the moment, it quickly gave you a figure saying there are nearly 3 billion outcomes, but there could be about how many pages we have roughly? Let's say.
17,
22 pages.
Yeah, so let's say about 20. So 20 times 10, 200. So it's something that they can quite work on quite rapidly. Considering billions of pages we have, 200 is it's nothing pretty much. Who would pay to be on page 20 exactly? It's not very clear how much does the top advertiser pays our research. Yeah, again the same thing. So we'll cover a little bit more today. So they don't get money by all the things you are searching for. They get money by the clicks you do on those right-hand side sections. Now, if you think about billions of people browsing the internet now, there is a huge possibility that there could be millions of people buying stuff based on the things they see in the search outcome. Now, that million is enough to have a good income for Google. That's the whole business philosophy behind it. What is the question number 6? This is the last question. How to improve Google? Okay. So imagine yourself as a humanized version of Google. What you have to do is people come and ask, recommend me a handbag. Why do I keep talking about handbag? Recommend me a garden light. Recommend me a rechargeable battery. So all you can do is quickly look somewhere, as if you have a huge library of stuff, go through them and say, okay, go to this shop, you can find not a handbag, you can find a PIR garden light. So if you are Google, what you can do is either you can replicate yourself or become much more conversed in the library you are having, or come up with a smarter way of organizing the stuff in your library, or come up with a smarter way of like dealing with multiple people at the same time. Like for example, people might keep on searching what could be the most popular thing they are searching today. I know the answer. I know you know the answer. So what they would have done is they could have probably done a little database query. Okay, this is the answer. I'm going to store it there. The next time they ask for that same question again, they wouldn't probably bother searching again. They will quickly say, okay, this is the result I fetched milliseconds ago. Have a look at that. So you can come up with smarter way of like making it much more efficient. And yeah, so as what you would do to come up with answers rapidly, it could be the same things the Google could be doing. And now you guys are getting a degree in a time where the data science has become a quite impactful keyword. Data science or data scientist, and even in the A-level and O-level syllabus, they have introduced computer science and data science and big data as key topics. So when we were studying, we have to pretty much learn about how to program, how to code, how to put database together, how to write a query to get stuff out. But now you guys are in a stage where there are humongous amount of data already stored in hard drives or some sort of an electronic form. So your task, probably by the time you are getting your jobs, would be to work on that large amount of data that is already aggregated and in electronic form. Whereas 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there were job titles to do with coming up with systems, analyzing systems, coming up with nice interfaces, coming up with ways of collecting data. Now there are mechanisms to automatically collect data, pump everything into large databases. So your jobs would probably be to do with going into those or diving into those humongous databases and coming up with interesting stuff. So there's a lecture I'm going to do in the teaching block 2 about data mining. It's a very well paid and very sophisticated field where you, just like gold mining, you just keep digging, hoping that you're going to find some sort of an interesting pattern. And once you have the pattern, you're going to say, look, I have a pattern, and the Tesco's and Sainsbury's and all the big supermarkets will come racing towards you saying, give us the pattern, no, come and work for us. So the discovery of patterns in the large data has become quite a job title kind of thing itself. So if you go through the job market or job adverts these days, you come across things like data scientist. And data scientists typically need to know computer science, of course, and statistics, and a programming language like Python. Have you heard of Python? Yeah. Not the Python language. Anyone? Do you have anybody who has done programming with Python? Good. It's one of the languages I learned, and I thought it's not going to survive another 5 years, but amazingly, it has the popularity of that. The Python language has it is pretty much much improved. I mean, the C#, PHP, they are a little bit going down now. Java also a little bit going down, and Python is coming up. It's a very simple language, quite good with numerical stuff, so you can do quite sophisticated algorithms with it. And the whole thing now is coming up with stuff quickly rather than coming up with nice animations, nice sound effects, or nice interfaces. Does anyone know why Python is called Python?
Monty Python.
Exactly. I thought he likes animals, Python animal, but he likes Monty Python. Anyway, so what the main objectives of that task is pretty much to get yourself busy researching about something and thinking about how the Google is working, because Google, like search engines, are quite important for us now. It could be when you are doing programming modules, or when you're working as a programmer, the first thing you do is just Google for the error message or an algorithm or things like that. Okay. Now, somehow I was not added to the IT Toolbox module until this morning. So, as a result, I couldn't upload the lecture materials to your study space. What I'm going to do is I'll do that after the lecture. Let me borrow that from our last year's study space. Okay, so today's lecture is all about money, money, money. Okay, where did this whole idea about money come from? Do you know who started using money for the first time? There was, is it Romans?
Venetians.
Like pen. How many years ago?
Sorry?
How many years ago?
2000 years before Christ.
I know you know Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, he contemplated on the idea of having some sort of a thing that can be used as something valuable that you can exchange instead of an item or a service. Okay, so anyway, if you think about what you can get from money, broadly, I think you can consider them as items and services. So, if if you go down the history of the way humans have learned to do various things, so like we discovered fire when it's about 400,000 years ago by Homo erectus. And then somewhere down the line, people started thinking about, okay, we need to eat stuff, we can't just keep eating vegetables or stuff coming from trees, or that guy is quite good at collecting stuff or doing something. And there is another guy in the village who is quite good at making pots. So they wanted to come up with some sort of way of like exchanging stuff. So the first thing they could exchange is getting something from, like, let's say for example, A and B. So both of them could be having some items and they can do some services. So the first thing they would have done is, okay, I need your service X, so give me the X service. In return I can give you, for example, give me your ability to build a roof, I'll help you with harvesting. Or it might be, give me your sheep, I'll give you a goat, something like that. And then people started exchanging stuff, items or services in terms of transactions, and then I don't know, I may be wrong, I thought 2,700 years ago, Turkish people started actually having metal coins. I may be wrong, but do your little bit of your own research and figure out. That's the thing in my head. I have seen I've been to one of their museums and over there I read this saying, they are the first people who thought about having metal coins. But before that, of course, there could be some sort of a, not metal coins, some, I don't know, stone chips or tiny things exchanged as recognized, for recognized transactions. So anyway, and then, so people started having, later on, having proper coins and proper notes. And then came the internet, the mesh network. And then first use of internet is probably to read about stuff and write about things. And then people started writing and reading about items and services, and they thought, oh, why can't we buy that thing that person has written about? So people had stuff in their shops. That is a shop, not a house, it's stuff. So they might have done a little bit of write-up about that on the internet. Somebody read it and told to, let's go to the shop and buy it. So that could be the first thing initiated by the internet, where they try to advertise or mention about some things that is available for sale, for a transaction. So they went there with some money and bought it. And then at the next stage would probably is the idea of having everything virtually and reading about things and then paying the money to this virtual port, and then they will be sending the stuff over here. Or it could be a download, which can be a service you can send to the other party through via electronic means. Anyway, so we are in a situation that we are doing humongous amounts of transactions. So they are commercial transactions, and they are happening in electronic way. And then we started calling that as e-commerce. And e-commerce is all about carrying out commercial transactions electronically. In other words, without having actual physical stuff exchange on one-to-one basis. So you can talk about e-commerce between people, e-commerce between businesses, e-commerce activities between companies or large organizations or governments. So internet is playing a huge role over here, because internet is the way that we can easily get to know about things, and it's also the best mechanism for us to tell other people about the things we have, or we can do, or we can sell. If you think about America versus UK, do you think which country would be buying more stuff in terms of a percentage of the population? Yeah, Yeah, I mean, most would guess it's America, but they buy about 5% of the stuff online, whereas we buy about more than 10%. I think it was 13% online. And if you think about the value of these transactions, it's about 225 billion pounds. That's a huge amount of stuff buying and selling virtually using the internet. So it has become a quite dominant field or a topic to talk about, to research about for us as computer scientists. 10.7 of the stuff are actually, in terms of the total retail market, 10.7 is at the moment happening through these internet mechanisms. Amazon is the main one you need a little bit research about other than the Google, because Amazon, most of you could imagine Amazon is that this online marketplace, but Amazon has a huge back-end business to do with data storage. Big companies like Netflix, Reddit, Dropbox, all of them are using Amazon's infrastructure to host the services. So if you properly get into like data science areas, you'll start building up networks of virtual computers. At the moment, Amazon are the biggest player. So you can just send a specification to Amazon, and Amazon will be create a virtual network for you with virtual machines, and you'll be buying their storage space and algorithms, their processing power to do stuff. So the Amazon we used to know, which was pretty much selling books, it's not the case anymore. It's like a huge player in the data science area in terms of storage, processing power. They have a huge share. In terms of the retailing, they are the biggest player as well. So 16% of the market share is by Amazon. Why are they doing so well? What could be the reason? Why can't eBay or Tesco or Sainsbury's, so what can't people like that, why can't they come up with things as good as Amazon?
They have better algorithms.
Better algorithms and sorry?
Amazon has a better variety of goods.
Better variety of goods. Yep. I mean, if you go to Sainsbury's or Tesco's, you have certain limitation in terms of the range. If you go to eBay, you can find the similar stuff you find in Amazon, but what makes Amazon better in most cases than eBay?
Trustworthy.
Sorry?
It's more trustworthy.
Yeah, exactly. Trustworthiness, because Amazon has like sellers that have been working or selling stuff for a long time, whereas eBay, you can create an account today and start selling stuff. Both have some key points, advantages and disadvantages, but in terms of the normal retail market, I think Amazon is playing a huge role at the moment because of the range of things and the way they do the feedback. So this is like what we call as Web 2.0. It's not 2.0 anymore, but it has gone beyond that. But this is the ability for buyer to leave feedback about the product and the service. A few years ago, it was something controversial. How could you let clients write about you? But now you expect clients to write about you. Yeah, did you have a question?
And Amazon, I think they are the only one who offer this kind of service. So if you want to sell something on Amazon, you can send them the goods,
Yeah.
and they can store them for you, and
Yeah.
you other people can buy them directly from them, and then you get the money when the things are sold.
Yeah.
I don't think the others offer this service, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
Like such stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you might have seen some search results. They say you search for item and it says it's sold by Kingston University, but what is the other word they say? Supplied by Amazon or fulfilled by Amazon. So fulfilled by Amazon means they have the stock in their warehouse, and Amazon gonna be the people who are gonna pack it and send it through their delivery network. So you could be quite good at designing t-shirts, for example, and once you have quite good reputation, you can say, look Amazon, I have good reputation, could you stock my stuff and be the provider of all the services to do with selling. Yes, that's a good point. And then the other thing is the feedback. The other thing is the Amazon's own search algorithms, so the algorithms that they do to do with ranking. Most of the time when I want to buy something, I go for the item, I search for it, I find the item, and then I look for what other people have bought. Because that's quite helpful, because the thing I discovered may not be the best one. And then I feel like what other people have done. Have they bought the same thing, or have they searched further and managed to find something better? So that is a quite smart thing they did. I think they are the first people to do that. And then you also have the paid sections where you can advertise things and so on. And then the next biggest thing they did was this Amazon Prime thing. Yeah, you can subscribe into a service where you can get things delivered fast without having to pay additional. I mean, the delivery charge is probably hidden inside the price, but you get quite addicted. I mean, whenever I search for things now, I only go for Prime products because I don't know, it's like a weakness we have as well. No matter how good the item is, we try to like touch it as soon as possible. So naturally, most of the people who are having the Prime subscription, only reason I have Prime subscription is because we have Prime TV for the kids. So that is the other thing we got as for the delivery. But now I'm quite addicted to all the Prime products, and you can filter things based on the Prime categories, and you can have Sunday deliveries, you can have same-day deliveries. Some postcodes have 2-hour delivery, so it's quite a good thing. And you might have heard about their research into drone deliveries, kind of things. So they have become quite big players. So some numbers, 120 billion to the UK economy in 2010. So now it has gone passing 200 billion, as I said. The other thing is, people might buy the stuff straight away from the online platforms, or they might find the stuff, read reviews about it, and go to the high street shop and buy. Yeah, that is also another possible aspect where the manufacturers and the retailers are quite interested in, because people can read reviews, build certain degree of loyalty and trust above the product, and then they have stocked it in a high street shop, and they can go and physically touch it and buy. So you have to consider that as a plus point for some of the suppliers and manufacturers. So 5% in US, and we are really ahead in terms of buying stuff. Now there are a few things that most of you might agree. Out of that, time saving is the most important one, because you don't have to go browsing through various shop windows or going to different supermarkets. You can read reviews, look at the product, and quickly get it. So time saving, and then the easy to compare prices. We came across which I think there are, especially the middle-aged people who are not too old, who are not too young, the middle category, they seem to be quite interested in which comparisons now, which.co.uk. And because they do their own reviews, their lab tests, and they rank items based on what is the best buy, what is the don't buy category. And I've seen so many conversations where people are having while buying stuff, saying, by the way, we should recommend this product, we should don't buy this product, and so on. Just power of internet, it's amazing how things are happening now. If you think about 3 years back, people will be just asking from the neighbor, what shall I buy, or could you recommend something? But now you can just go to internet and find it. And then variety is significant. Prices are lower. Why prices are lower of the stuff you find on the internet, usually?
It's because they don't have to spend money on actually setting up shops.
Yeah.
And like trying to rent out those spots, they could literally just have a warehouse and then set
Warehouse and a website. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And the same point that the products are sold almost directly, like they come to the online shops, online deposits directly from the producer, and then it's less expensive.
Yeah. Sir, did you have anything?
I just wanted to say that they'll have to employ less people in terms of,
Exactly. Yeah.
so they don't have to spend more money paying the salary of those
Yep.
employees. So that's why.
So, yep.
There is more competition, so naturally you will lower your prices.
Exactly. Yeah, that's again a very good point. Yep. Yeah. So you don't need to have a high street shop, or you don't need to have a warehouse with the shop front. You don't need to pay lighting bills, the heating bills, taxes for the council, everything. You can just have one big warehouse that can be accessed by the Royal Mail van or whatever the delivery network, and that's enough. Yep.
And you can use exchange, not money, or Bitcoin.
Sorry.
You can use exchange rate. item for item, so without money. That's
without money.
evolution. I mean, through the internet sales, not just Amazon.
Ah, okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, when you minimize the amount of physical space or the physical volume you need to occupy for your business, you can make a lot of cost savings. And imagine you came up with a new software, and traditionally you would have written it into a DVD or a CD, package it nicely, and open up a shop, come and buy my software. But you don't have to do it anymore at all. I mean, what you can do is easily make it available in some sort of storage. People will pay for it, and you just provide a link to download. So the whole idea of, if you are providing a software kind of as an item, you don't need anything physical now. You can just do everything using just the one laptop, connect to the internet, set up the shop. It could be on somebody's server, and pay for the space and load your stuff into that space, and keep selling the URL to that. So you don't need any space at all. And few things comparing the behavior. Now the shopping cart is quite key thing in this whole e-commerce transaction. So one of few interesting facts are 11% say they start pulling through or pushing through a shopping cart, but they later abandon it. They might lose the interest on the product. They might feel like, okay, I'm going to do something else. I'm actually going to go and have a look at on the high street shop. So there are 11% who are abandoning the shopping cart halfway through or without taking it through the full process. Do we have to bother about that 11%? Why shall we bother about the 11%?
We encourage them to buy the item now and replace us.
Exactly. Yep.
They might come back to that product they've abandoned originally.
Exactly. I mean, for us, there are two important things. One thing is, if we can get out of like that 11%, if we can get at least 5% to buy it, that is again more revenue. And the other thing is, we can probably research about the reasons behind the abandonment. It could be not having an offer, or not having a nice packaging, or not having enough reviews. If we can address the reasons behind the shopping cart abandonment, again, that could be plus point for us. For example, people recognize that not having enough reviews or not having the delivery as a free delivery as one of the commonest reasons. So that's why Amazon came up with the idea of Prime. You pay an annual subscription and the delivery is free, and that enabled them to capture another huge market. If you think about millions of people going online, that 5% out of 11% is a quite significant chunk of money. And there are 13%, interestingly, they keep collecting money, they keep collecting items on their the shopping cart, leave it until they come up with the offer, or they come up with some sort of a deal that says buy one get one free, or get something, another item in a reduced rate. So they are quite keen on getting offers, like sites like Groupon or Voucher. Their whole business model is about providing people, probably these 13% of people who are wondering or dithering about buying stuff, giving them some incentive to buy it. And 19%, they keep adding stuff to the basket or the cart and save it as a shopping list. So if you go to my Amazon account, you might be probably seeing various items there. Some of them are like I'm feeling lazy to delete, but some of them are just there because I can use it next time to remind myself about who provided that product and what was the price. And the beauty in Amazon is when you go to the historical shopping list, it automatically updates the price. So you can see there is a 5% reduction, 10% reduction of that item now. Various tricks that the companies can actually use to manipulate the psychology of the buyers and make profit out of it. So 58%, so that just over half actually put stuff into the basket and also ended up pushing it all the way to the checkout and buying it. So analyzing this behavior itself is a quite interesting area to figure out what kind of things influence people's buying decision when they are doing online shopping. If you think about the Tesco's, for example, companies like Tesco's, you would notice that they place their products on different aisles and shelves by looking at the diagram. Okay, I mean, have you thought about that? So that diagram is not just somebody's drawing or somebody's saying, okay, put these stuff on this particular aisle, this particular shelf. That diagram is based on an algorithm that has gone through the transaction values of large number of Tesco branches and analyzed it. So, for example, there is a very popular case study in America where they figure out one of the Walmart branches actually selling a particular TV brand significantly larger in numbers compared to all the other branches. And they figure out through data analysis, it's totally down to the way that branch manager has placed the TVs. And they quickly ask all the other branch managers to do the same, and they manage to sell all the TVs in that place. So it's a quite popular case study where how product placement can impact people's buying decisions. And we can do that in a variety of ways when we are doing this in e-commerce environment. The number one reason people shop online is to save money. So a little bit about Amazon, 209 million active customers who are constantly searching through stuff, buying stuff. So there are huge potential for them to make them to buy stuff, leave reviews about that. Have you heard of an Amazon service called Amazon Wine? Amazon Wine program. It's not about that wine. It's a review service. So if you keep buying stuff from Amazon, they will invite you to become a member of the Amazon Wine service or wine program. And what that allows you to do is they will send you items free or half price or with a reduced rate. In return, you have to do a review. So that's another mechanism they are using to collect feedback and figure out what items are better than compared to other items, and that will automatically help them with the ranking, increasing popularity. Yep.
That's what Instagram does as well with some of its businesses. It sends people with loads of followers stuff. They post a photo with like a promo code or whatever, and then that encourages people as well to buy stuff.
But how do they make money? So is it by
Publishing.
If they get somebody who has, I don't know, like a really big amount of followers,
yeah?
they
I see.
send them something for free, like their shoes, a bag. I've heard of people who have received like microphone bags and stuff, and then that person has to post a photo with a promo code or whatever, and
Yeah.
because they have so many followers.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, that's very interesting. I think I've come across one particular blogger who's like just a normal random guy, but he has apparently like built up a huge follower base based on just blogging. I think he still lives with his parents or something, but he's hugely popular, and all the big names in America or in Hollywood, they keep inviting him to parties because getting a picture with him and appearing that picture in the blog has suddenly become a huge thing. Yeah, exactly. It's quite amazing what you can do with having all the things happening on the internet. Plenty of business opportunities for you guys to think about, and a lot of money, and do good stuff over here. So what I was talking about earlier, Amazon's S3, it's a cloud-based service. Their storage system has become hugely popular, and large number of companies are using their service, which has become one of their core business entities now. So Netflix, Reddit, Tumblr, Dropbox, Pinterest, all of them are using Amazon services. Okay, social shopping. We have another lecture about social media at some point. So people started socializing or making contact with different people in the online world. So just like commercial activities on online, we don't call it e-social, we call it social media or social computing. So people's day-to-day activities, their family life, their interest, research activities, people keep sharing and talking about it through this online media. So Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all of them can use that model as a marketing revenue mechanism to facilitate e-commerce transaction. Yep.
Are these statistics up to date?
No. It might be worth going to this website and figuring out the latest statistics, because usually we have for 2015-16. I'm sure there could be updates now. But you can get an idea about the roughly ballpark figure, how impactful these things are.
Pretty sure the best one now is Instagram because compared to all of these, the rate of engagement on Instagram is way bigger than this, and it's the new thing on e-commerce. It's way better
Yep.
in many ways. A lot of money can be made and have been made and will be made.
What's happening with Snapchat? Anybody knows? Are they popular as well now? I heard somewhere that they're going to rename the whole Snapchat thing to something else. So I mean, there are. I mean, if you think about it, there are very tiny little ideas, but suddenly making a huge impact. I mean, Facebook. I mean, Facebook is a quite. It is a little bit of a like complicated idea, but if you think about Twitter, writing 100 whatever number of words about something and having suddenly number of people who are interested in reading your 100 plus words, and then keep sharing it and reacting to it, and it could become a huge social phenomenon. And I use Pinterest a lot because I quite like, for example, all the graphics I have in these lecture slides I might be Pinterest board, because I quite like it to like way of knowing the latest stuff and compartmentalizing or categorizing the knowledge in a visual way. Yeah.
I actually noticed, like, if you go to talk about that type of aspect, a lot of these social networks have kind of adapted their ideas from Tumblr, because a lot of stuff like Twitter, the whole retweeting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tumblr happened as well, and then Instagram with the photos also started. So
Yeah. Exactly. I think all those are like outside. The humans naturally like socializing, talking about or boasting about or showing off things. So they, in a nice way, all these companies, what they have done is like give us easy way of doing it. So take a picture, upload, write something, upload, copy a URL, share it. Easy things to do. And behind that, what we need to appreciate is there are huge amount of data. There are huge amount of dynamic stuff. So you can easily monitor how people are discussing about a certain thing by doing a little program to plug yourself into the Twitter feeds and visualizing it, and you can suddenly figure out, okay, how people are reacting to a particular incident. Like I tried to do a research about using Twitter where the idea was, for example, there could be a TV advertisement, and then I wanted to do an API that can automatically analyze all the Twitter feeds and figure out has that TV advertisement made a positive or some sort of an impact. That particular advertisement about vaccination campaign, so my idea was to figure out how people have talked about that vaccination TV advertisement and how people have shared or encouraged people to take up vaccination. There are research groups, research departments working on different avenues under this, different areas under this. So usually it's quite a good thing. I mean, if you think about our fathers or grandfathers' times where you had to go to a library, you had to buy an encyclopedia to research about something, you had to go to a discussion, some sort of a gathering to get to know about something. You have amazing amount of stuff in your mobile phone in front of you. So plenty of opportunities to do good and also earn money. Doing e-commerce well, so trust and having stuff, having all the transactions done in a quite efficient way, they all make a huge, play a huge role here. Okay, customers, they say 34% spend their time online, but marketers or the businesses have to spend only 6% of their budget online. So with a tiny amount of investment, you can make a lot of money out of the internet. So we talk about this conversion rate. Now conversion rate is out of the number of people that come through your online, the shop front, how many people have ended up buying something, buying an item or buying a service. So all the mechanisms we do behind would be targeted at, first of all, appearing in search engines. Second is having some visitors arrive, after having some visitors at your shop front, how to get them to buy something. Okay, so now this is coming into the Google's playing field. So if you think about the path a normal shopper takes, so first thing is make some noise. So make sure the people are aware of what you are providing in terms of a service or an item. Get them to consider what you are doing. So you could post some pictures, post some reviews, or do little YouTube videos, get them to come to the site, and then get them to purchase. And after having done a transaction, you can't forget about the customer, because the internet can easily allow you to have other different aspects, like allowing people to share about talk about your product. Services like Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, they'll be quite good sources to get your customers to share your item or talk about your item. So that could be another exposure, or in other words, that will feed back into the awareness cycle, awareness stage. So people got to know, they considered your product, they bought it, they start talking about it, more people get to know it, more people buying it. So that's a quite good positive cycle if you can maintain. And build some loyalty around it. So there are services or plugins in most of the websites that gives you an account. You can log in and you can see your historical transaction. You can leave reviews, you can upload pictures of the product you bought. Like there is a furniture company called made.com, you might have heard of it. They have quite like nice clean designs, furniture designs, and they have another website, sister website called outofthebox.com or something. What that means is the things they bought from the website, people unpack it, they put it on their living room, they took a picture and upload it to that website. So that is another thing they maintain, just to give an idea of how this thing might actually look like on somebody's living room. So different techniques. Then there will be huge you can make the awareness or advocate people to buy this by blogging about it, doing articles, doing write-up. You might have come across websites that have loads of articles. When you search for things for your coursework, you might end up with some websites that have tutorials, articles, and the whole point is getting you to visit the site, in the meantime selling something, or selling a subscription, some sort of a thing that gets them to earn some money as well. So this is again another representation of the same thing, how people research about it, compare with another product, compare with another service, and end up buying something. So having a good idea about this is quite important for you to come up with a good business model. I'm going to skim pretty much fast forward on these things and come to a slide. Google 90% in the UK, 72% in the US. What is the search engine you have in China? I can't remember the name. Not Alibaba.
Why did that? Why did you?
Just research about it. I can't remember which one.
Go.
Huh?
I think it's Go.
Go is the game, isn't it?
Yeah, Go is the game.
Yeah, it is.
It's the one that the deep mind did the algorithm.
Yeah.
I'm sure it starts with an X. So. Baidu. Baidu is about Baidu is 70% of the market share in China. Yeah, so Google is a humongous player. So that's why we have to bother and we have to keep learning about how they're doing businesses. Okay, so a little bit about this whole ranking idea. Okay, so we were talking about having a summarized version of the internet and ranking. Okay, so at the moment, the way it works is the Google, let's say you have a page about IT Toolbox. and you have loads of stuff written about certain topics. So, and you could be having a number of pages covering various topics. So the Google Spider will visit this website the moment you publish something, and once you said it's publicly visible, once you flag it as publicly visible with your internet service, the server you are hosting it, the public server, it become visible for the Google Spider. At some point, now when you're monitoring the activities in your server, you can actually pinpoint what time the Google Spider visits you. It's not like a crawling spider, it's just a software visiting your website or loading your website. So it will go through the thing and figure out what is the title, what are the key things in the text, what are the subtitles, what are the other key things, how pages are linked to each other, and it will also figure out how other sites are linked to this site. So you might be having some URLs that takes you to another website, another website, another website, and similarly there could be number of other sites that has links to your site. So Google at the moment, especially if you are using HTML5, HTML5 allows you to identify the headers, subsections, topics for subsections, navigation areas, various things. So the Google algorithm can figure out what is this article about, what are the key things discussed over here, how other people have acknowledged this by looking at the number of inbound links, and how you have positioned yourself amongst all the other articles related to that field by looking at the number of outbound links. At the same time, it will go through some of the stuff that are not visible to you. So behind the web page, there could be some keywords, meta tags. So meta usually means something about something. So like, so this is something about the things in the website. And there could be some things you write on the top that are not visible to the user, but they are written in, targeting the spiders. So they will consider that as well, and then position this self as, okay, this is page this in my database, in the Google's database, this is going to be 1 millionth and second page or something like that. Anyways, so it will give a certain like a number saying in terms of the importance of this article, this is where it ranks. Now when it ranks it, it will rank against various things. For example, it might try to rank it against the word IT, again next to the keyword Toolbox, and maybe about e-commerce, and maybe JC's name, my name, Kingston University, or things like that. So it will try to rank this against various things. For example, if it's lot of discussion is about JavaScript, it might get a better ranking for JavaScript. And my name or JC's name is mentioned only one, I might be ranked lower in terms of the relevance in that particular page against the keyword. So if somebody searches for Toolbox, after having gone through all the mechanics toolbox, the builder's toolbox and everything, it might also say, have a look at the IT toolbox as well, because it does something to do with Toolbox. But it might give it a much more weight against JavaScript. If the Google Spider feels like there are a number of JavaScript websites mentioning about your website, then it will give a hugely important rank to our website against the JavaScript. Now put that into a business context. Imagine this is a website about, not about handbags, something. And so it will figure out how many Instagram posts, how many Twitter feeds, how many Facebook updates, how many other discussions in the internet are actually pointing towards this particular website. So the formula is quite simple. What you have to do is get other people to talk about your website, get other people to mention about your website, and you automatically can get a better ranking. Now that is something quite difficult to do. The other possible avenue is, while letting people to talk good stuff about your services or items, you can also go for the Google's AdWords scheme. And what you do there is you pay. Let's say IT Toolbox. We want to like market our IT Toolbox as an international course for rich and wealthy countries. So what we can do is we can say Google, if somebody is searching for computer science, could you give us a better rank, and I'll pay you £5 for every successful visitor that comes into the website. Okay? And you can also say, could you also rank us against JavaScript software? And I'll give you another £5 if you can. I mean, let's say I'll give you £4 if you rank it a little bit in. Let's say this is in the scale of 1 to 100. Could you give us rank 5? Could you give us rank 50? I'll give you £4. Imagine this as a business model. So what you can do is you can pick certain things or AdWords and say, ask Google to position yourself in a preferable position. In return, you are paying it money. So another thing you have to do, another key thing you have to do over here is you have to figure out what is the most attractive keyword. If you are trying to sell JavaScript, it's pointless giving the Google money to advertise computer science. You need to use JavaScript as the keyword. So figuring out what are the keywords that serves you best, it's another art form. There are plenty of tools around which gives you what are the most popular keywords. So what you can do is you can figure out, if you want to sell tourism to China, what are the best keywords that people would search for. Okay? So you want to sell JavaScript tools, and you can use these kind of tools to figure out how people search for JavaScript. Do they search for JS? Do they search for JScript? Or do they search for JavaScript? And that knowledge, again, there are paid services where you can ask them to provide you with the most impactful keyword. So let's say our choices are JS, JScript, and JavaScript. And if you use this kind of a service to suggest you the best keyword, it will say JavaScript is used this million times compared to JScript. So you will feel like, okay, JavaScript is the keyword I need to use in my website and promote in my website, and also it is the keyword that I need to ask Google to promote. So you pay money asking them to advertise it on their right-hand side search box, the search result area. In the meantime, you are working on your SEO to optimize your website for JavaScript. So you got yourself a quite good business model to get more visitors. Now there are companies that are doing this as a business. It's pretty much a huge business because it's a knowledge that is difficult to get. It's something you have to build over a number of years of experience. They charge a lot. Like it could be a very simple website selling something very simple, but they might say, I will do SEO services for £3,000. They usually quote for a huge amount of pounds, because there's no way of like saying you are bad against the other people, because they could be having so many knowledge inside the company that has been proven to give good results. Having said that, if a company says, give me £5,000, I put you in the first page of the Google page ranking, it will never work, because nobody knows exactly how Google works out the position of a page. So the second best option you can do is asking the Google, could you actually start showing our advertisements against people who are looking for JavaScript? So Google will again come back to your computer, analyze the cookies you have there, and if they figure out you have been searching for JavaScript, they will quickly say, okay, JC and Pushpa are selling JavaScript. Could you consider visiting their website? And our website or some sort of a link might appear on the right hand side. So it's a hugely complicated, interconnected business model. Page ranking, popularity, how good your stuff are, and whether you have paid money or not, how much you have paid, how many, what is the duration of your marketing campaign, everything will play a huge role in getting this whole thing up and running. So, in summary, that is what's happening in this whole idea of AdWords and page ranking. Things to avoid. As I said, there used to be a stage where people were bombarding the site with keywords, but it doesn't work. At the moment, Google actually penalize you in the sense if you are caught cheating by manipulating the keywords or manipulating the websites, the web content, you will be banned, and no matter how much money you pay, they will not advertise anything to do with you again. Talking from my experience. And I tried so many times, I couldn't get them to revoke my account. It's banned. Yeah.
How many keywords are too many? How can we know that?
You don't know exactly. It's just the way the Google works. I mean, if you're like not purposely, I mean, it should look good for a human to read through. If it feels like it's quite odd, all these sentences are talking about the same thing again and again in a very unfriendly way, Google advertisements are quite capable of recognizing that. The mistake I did was, I did an advert for my website with a link, and I put a Google advert, and I was very young. Okay. I started clicking it myself to show that okay, there are many people coming, because every time people visit there, in your advertisement, in your website, the website owner get a certain money. It's like a $0.2. So I clicked on it, or $0.2. I clicked it again, or it became $0.4. It keeps going, and it became 0 something. So they quote that I'm cheating the system by clicking on the same link again and again within the same domain of IP address, and they quickly figure out, okay, it's bad, no more chances to it. And this is like so many years later, and still it's bad. I can't look into my account at all. So there are so many things people do, the big companies, to cheat the system, but again, at some point they figure out, okay, this is what you are doing, and you ended up actually having a negative impact on your website. And this is the other thing, you can just say something, and so this is like what we call it as semantic auto-completion. They try to figure out what you are trying to search, and based on that keep suggesting things. If you go to the wordtracker.com, you can type in the keyword that you think as relevant to you, and it will give you some statistics about which areas, which countries, what word combinations people were using to search for wine. And that statistics, that information will be quite significant for you in terms of identifying your positioning your brand on the internet. For wine, for example, people are searching for wine. If you just advertise the wine as the keyword, I think there won't be any chance for going into a good rank. You need to come up with something that describes you unique. For example, let's say you could be a plumber. Let's say I'm a plumber in Kingston upon Thames, and if I do a website saying plumber.com, I'm a good plumber, I can do plumbing very well, my plumbing is very clean, blah, blah, blah. They will not even look at your website. What you need to do is, if you think that you want to target the households or the people living in the Kingston area, if you advertise yourself as Kingston plumber, then you have a better chance rather than just advertising yourself as a plumber. So companies have to figure out what is your objective, how can you position your whole business model by looking at the keywords. It's a quite interesting thing when you start doing your web page, your own web page, which you are going to do as part of task in this module, and see how other people end up visiting your website, which countries they come from, which operating system they are using. You can get all those statistics if you have the Google dashboard, and it's a fascinating thing. It's quite addictive thing as well. I mean, you start installing the gadget, the analytics tool in your mobile. Every day you wake up, you quickly see how many people have visited, how the Instagram is going. It's a quite addictive thing. It's a quite good thing as well, because you can, for example, if I want to write about data mining, then I feel, okay, how many people have visited it, what else can I modify in the content, can I provide links to other websites, etc. So it gives you quite good feeling about how to manipulate your content. Keywords, so inbound links. Now I mentioned about links coming from other websites. Now if those links are coming from yeah, it worked. Hi. So if the other links are coming into your website from a website that is quite popular at the moment. For example, let's say our JavaScript links are coming from British Computer Society, which is quite popular. There are a large number of people visiting it. So our website get a better chance of getting ranked in a higher position. So what people, so this probably relates to the story she mentions about the Instagram. If you can get your thing advertised in an Instagram account of somebody who has a huge number of followers, then you might be ranked better. So people might be paying money to get yourself talked about in their the online website, and again that will give you more visitors. Search engine optimization is the way of manipulating your web page to appear better. Pay per click is the concept I mentioned about paying Google to show advertisements about your website on their right-hand side area of the search result. Now, having done SEO, usually it takes about 3 months to see the results. So it's not like an instant thing like, I'll pay you £3,000, could you SEO my site, and can I come to the first page or second page against a particular keyword? It doesn't work like that. You have to do it and wait for about 3 months to see whether actually has it made an impact, have you improved your rank. And you can't stop there. You have to again invest money, and you have to again keep doing this to keep yourself in the second page or third page, whatever the objective you have for your SEO. So that's why it's become a huge, like a business and a huge domain to do with positioning, ranking yourselves, and etc. Yeah, so when you go into the Google advertisements, they will say, they have certain charges, say, I will show you advertisement 100 times for possible customers. You have to pay us this much amount of money. So based on that, you can go for a business model like that. For example, you expect to get 500 impressions, so that means 500 people visiting your website, and out of that, so you have to like do this estimation from your end. So you expect 500 visitors, out of that 10% might end up buying something, and you might actually end up getting 5 people buying your item, whatever you are selling, and then you have to figure out how much is that worth. So that is 125 times 525 pounds, and how much you can spend for the advertisement. So you might be spending, for example, 20 pounds. So you spend 20 pounds, in return you manage to get 125. So you can figure out, okay, is that a good investment to do? Is that a good spend of? Is that a good way to spend your money? In most cases, it is. Like compared to giving leaflets out to different households, where the conversion rate could be point something. Online marketing using Google AdWords, it's a hugely impactful way of like, especially if it's a startup business, it's a quite significant way to get into the market. So you can figure out kind of a budget sheet and say how much you're going to spend in return for how many clicks. And once you have business coming through, then you can spend more money on the Google AdWords, and it will become kind of like a maintenance, come to a maintenance stage where you keep paying Google to keep yourself in a good position in the market. Okay, let's look at the activity you have to do. Okay, so the deadlines I need to update, because as I said, I didn't have access to the study space, so I couldn't upload any of these. So one of the following and spend. So there are 4 different things you can do. You can search about Ticktail or Shopify and see how those the websites are showing what kind of payment mechanisms work. In other words, some research about e-commerce activities. Search about the AdSense advertising. So AdSense is the Google's that particular marketing scheme using AdWords. So you can log in, create yourself an account, you don't have to pay any money, and see how you can use it to market a website. And think about Amazon Associate or Trade Doubler kind of a service. and then talk about services like Power, Explorer, or similar marketplaces which allows you to sell stuff or crowdsource things and make money. In other words, these are four popular mechanisms you can use without spending that much money or nothing to get yourself something running up on the website or on the internet and earn money. And a little bit of a discussion about what you did, how you researched about it, what kind of things you came across. And imagine yourself as building a website to sell something and then figure out some sort of a revenue scheme. So what you can do is you can go to the PowerPoint slide and copy that little grid about how much money spent, how many visitors you can expect, how many of the visitors would be actually buying stuff, how much revenue you can make, and based on that come up with a little budget. And then you can think about marketing, so you can talk about Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page, all those different things you can do to improve the popularity of your website. And then talk about how much money you have to spend to create the Google page, the Facebook page, maintain it. Is that an investment that is worth doing? So the overall, the research is about trying out the whole research is about trying out how can a company make some online presence and convert into a business model and get some visitors to visit you as quickly as possible, start selling stuff and building up some sort of a profile, presence and loyalty to keep making more money. Few years back, we actually created a website as a group activity, and we started selling some cheese products, and about 2 years later, actually it became a profitable business. So it's not difficult to start something. There are huge potential to do things. So everything you do, just take some screenshots as evidence for this is how you search for the keyword, this is how you came up with the budget. Do some screenshots and put them to your submission as well. So if you can get this done before next lecture and send it, upload it, we can give some feedback, but you have 4 weeks to complete the whole thing. So try to get it done this week or over the weekend. And yes. Okay, thank you very much.